Do you have that feeling of dread every time you open up Excel and all you want to do is a very basic formula? Maybe you want to find total income for last year and you get that error pop up. Hi, I'm Daryl, co-founder of Mission Metrics, and don't worry, you're not the only one. Around half of UK not-for-profits don't have a comprehensive data strategy in place. So I've put together 4 or 5 part mini series, around 10 minutes each video, and they're just there to help you get the most from your data. It's one of the core reasons why we actually started Mission Metrics as a platform, was to take all of that gold that you've got locked away in different spreadsheets across different OneDrives and be able to form insights from them. We'll look into data cleaning, best practices for Excel, kind of AI processes that you can put in place, or AI tools that we can use to speed up the process, maybe a bit of data modeling, and it will just be there to help you get the most from the data that you've got. So with that being said, let's hop into Excel and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So this is a very good example of the type of data sets that we come across on a daily basis. Most of you will recognize it. It's a donor list. So what we have is names of donors, their contact details, whatever donation they've made, and the sign-up location that the donation came from. So first thing we do when we look at any spreadsheet is we just take a couple of seconds just to view it, just to have a look, see if we can understand the data. Obviously, if it's your spreadsheet, you will know what it is and what it does and what it contains. But if you've spent half a day going backwards and forwards from different spreadsheets, it's always good just to take a beat and just to understand what the data is doing. So first thing we do is expand the columns just so we can see everything that we're working with. And obviously, it's very obvious from this point that we've got names in first name and surname in the same column. Now, that's not so bad just for referencing the data, just for referencing the spreadsheet. But if we want to use that data to run email campaigns, is a perfect example. When we automate the name field on the email campaign, the email is going to say, "Hi, John Smith," or "Hi, Jane Doe," which isn't a very personal way of contacting somebody. It's always good just to use their first name. So first port of call would be to split first name and surname into separate columns. And we use something called text to column for this. So first things first, we need to enter a new column just after where the full name is. And we highlight column A, go to data, and you'll see in data, there's a tab, there's a button called text to columns. Click text to columns, click next, and you want it to, the delimiter needs to be set to space because obviously there's a space in between each first name and surname. Next and finish, and it's automatically split those names then into 2 separate columns. So when we perform outreach, we can just specify that name is what needs to be in the placeholder next to hi. So next port of call on our data journey is the address column. So here is the full address in one column, which is fine for your spreadsheet. But later on down the line, if we wanted to perform analysis in a geographical sense, so we wanted to find total income or total donations from Birmingham or total donations from Manchester, it makes it very difficult. So we can do a similar thing to what we do with the names with address. So first thing we need to do is to insert 2 extra columns. And the reason we need to do that is because our addresses are split into street, city, and postcode. Then we would highlight column C, which contains the addresses, and then back to the text to columns. You want to click next. This is the crucial part. It's already picked up that it's comma separated, and that's because each section of the address is separated by a comma. So you just need to be sure that it's not set to space. You just want to set it to comma. It just makes it a bit cleaner. Next, and then finish. And fantastic. It's split the address into different columns now. And we can go ahead and add the column headers, so city and postcode. And now when we run our geolocation analysis, it will be very simple for us to be able to find total donations from Birmingham or total donations from Manchester. Next step is super basic, but very, very, very important. So we can see the sign up date column and we can see dates are all over the place. And that's because when we do manual entry and there's different people across different teams entering different date structures, you get this problem. So different dates labeled in different ways. So all we need to do is to highlight the column, and in the home pane, you've got this little drop down box where you can select what format it should be in there. And we just want to set that to short date. And that standardizes all of the dates then. This is absolutely crucial for when we run kind of trend analysis or retention analysis, monthly reporting, that type of thing. We can even go one step further, but normally the data analyst would do this, and we would split it into separate columns so we could do things like time intelligence for your month-on-month trends or year-on-year trends. But just for kind of what you would use it for, just standardizing the data into one style. We can already see that our spreadsheet's starting to look a lot cleaner. The next step would be the sign-up location. So we can see here we've got inputs for Facebook, Instagram, and website. The problem is there's FB. Obviously, we know that means Facebook, but when we try and run any form of analytics regarding marketing campaigns, we're going to get two separate figures for Facebook, which isn't ideal. So it's very, very simple fix. The shortcut's Control and H, and that opens the find and replace box. Now, all you would need to enter is FB into find what. That finds every single cell that's got FB listed, and we want to replace it with Facebook, which is the standard term that we're going to use for that cell. Just click replace all, and you can see now how that column has been completely changed. We've got no FBs in there, and everything now is specified as Facebook, Instagram, or website. We can actually take this one step further and try and nip that problem in the bud early doors. So we use what's called data validation. So we'd highlight the entire column, and we click in the data pane, we would click the icon that looks like two little cells with a tick and a stop sign next to it. That opens up data validation. In the allow, you want to select list, and in source, you want to enter what that list should contain. So this will stop people from being able to enter whatever they want into that cell. There'll be a drop-down box and they'll be able to click Facebook, Instagram, or website. So we want that list to say Facebook. Must be comma separated. So you must ensure that after Facebook, you put a comma. After Instagram, you put a comma. Instagram, comma, and website. Okay. Now, when it comes to data entry in the future, when a user or a team member clicks on that column, you will see a little drop-down box, which will allow them to click and select which one you want them to select. So it stops that problem with having multiple names for, say, somebody writes Insta instead of Instagram, or somebody writes web instead of website. It stops that problem at the start. It's a very, very good way of making sure your data is clean from day one. The penultimate step in cleaning this data set is to find duplicates. And the reason we find duplicates is because, one, it's going to affect your total donor count. For example, if you've got duplicate names, so at the top here, we've got duplicate entries for John Smith. That's going to class as two people when in fact it's just one. And ultimately, it's going to, if you're going to use this data set for email campaigns or outreach, that person is going to receive two emails, which isn't great. Nobody likes receiving two of the same email. So what we do is we go into the data tab, and in the data tab, you can see in next to text to columns, you'll see the remove duplicates button. You click remove duplicates. Now you want to unselect all, and we want to use the email address as the unique identifier, because There may be cases where somebody has the same name as somebody else, so we definitely don't want to filter it by name, but email address is unique to that person. So once we click email and click OK, we can see that it found 3 duplicates and it's removed them. So now we have a list of unique, 1 row per donor. Now, what you have to be conscious of is if this data set tracks transactions, for example, say you have monthly subscriptions, there will be multiple entries for that person. So it's definitely not a good idea to do it on a data set that tracks transactions. But for one that tracks just donor information and each row is unique to that donor, it's definitely something that should be done. Now, to finalize the process, we can make it look pretty. So click anywhere within the data set and Control T turns the whole data set into a table. Now, this isn't just to make the data set look pretty. It does help in the future as well. So tables automatically expand, and when we kind of import them into BI tools like Power BI or Tableau, or even within Excel, when we kind of further on down the line, when we look at building pivot tables, for example, to start the analysis process, a table is what's needed to be able to do that. So this data set now is completely cleaned and ready for analysis. And it took a matter of 6 or 7 steps to be able to do that. Now, moving forward, these mechanisms can be implemented at the start. Obviously, retro doing it takes a bit longer, but if you put those mechanisms in place, once you start collecting data for a new data set, for example, it stops all the need to do this in the future. So I hope you've enjoyed the first video. Next week, we'll look at a few more things within Excel, maybe get some kind of AI processes and AI tools that we can utilize to speed up the process of data cleaning and data analytics. So stay tuned for the next one. Thanks very much.